So my heater still hasn't been working fully. It's been working off and on. Some nights it'll work all night. Some days it'll run. Last night it started doing this really cool new thing where it was blasting cold air at like full tilt. So that was really nice to come home to after a 6-hour snowshoe excursion. So today I'm going to see if I can get into that little cabinet and find where I need to plug my high altitude kit into. So that is my heater control, like where I do all the settings, and there's been speculation that what I need to get to is behind that. So let's give it a try. This is the tool that I think I need to get in there. It's kind of like a giant Allen key, if you can see that. Let's see. Okay, so far so good. Alright, got the screws out. And oh god. This is gonna be oh wow. Oh wow. That is a lot. This is a two-hand job, I think. This is a lot of wires. But this looks like what I might need. Alright, so after trying to kind of disconnect this and looking at everything that's in front of me, I think that this is out of my league. So that's as close as I can come to answering the question of, does your heater work yet? I guess, long story short, kinda works, kinda doesn't. I haven't, like, frozen to death, so it doesn't get, like, that cold in the van. It doesn't get, like, dangerously cold because it is insulated and all my windows are covered. I have pajamas and blankets. It doesn't get, like, deathly cold. I'm gonna get hypothermia and die. Like, it's survivable. It's just not necessarily comfortable. Yeah. For example, last night I spilled Dewey's water when I was trying to turn off my light at the end of the night. And so it was wet on the floor and now it's ice. Now there's a little icy patch on my floor by his water, but it's not that bad. This weekend is supposed to be pretty cold. We're getting a bit of a like a cold snap. But I think I'll be okay. I mean, we survived last year's cold snap in a van that wasn't as insulated as this. The heater is working intermittently, so it's enough to keep us warm. I've kind of discovered that as long as I keep it set below 15 degrees, it'll kind of stay on. So that's good. So I just can't make it like super toasty in here. I can make it like 10 degrees, which is, yeah, that's good enough. Like I said, it's not necessarily comfortable, but I'm fine. So I wanted to share some tips with you guys to keep warm when you're van camping or van living in the winter. Some things that I've learned, some things, yeah, to kind of, I don't know, keep you a little toastier in your van. So a big thing is to layer, but don't over layer. Because if you just kind of put 17 layers of everything on, then that's so much space to heat up before your body heat reaches like the blanket cavity that you're in. So you want to have layers on, but not excessive layers. Like last night I wore socks and then I wore a onesie. And I also had a long sleeve shirt on underneath of that, and I was fine. I was warm as long as I was under the blankets. I guess, at least for me, really the most time that I spend inside of my van is when I'm sleeping. Because most of the day I'm either at work or I'm snowboarding, I'm doing something outside, I'm with Dewey. Last night we were snowshoeing. So it's mostly just sleeping that is the difficult part to stay warm. Last year I had a 12-volt heated blanket. I had a little 12-volt socket that was rigged up to my auxiliary battery that ran my fridge. So I would unplug my fridge because it was cold, so I didn't really need my fridge on, and I would plug the 12-volt heated blanket into the little fridge socket, and then that would warm up my bed. So when I got into bed to go to bed or go to sleep, my sheets were already nice and warm. Last year I had a sleeping blanket, a -10 sleeping blanket, and then I had my duvet and blankets on top of that. This year, where I'm in a slightly better insulated van, I only actually have a set of fleece blankets, and then I have a duvet, and then I have 2 knitted blankets. So let me show you. So I have fleece upper and lower blankets, and then I have a pretty hefty duvet. I have a blanket that my mom crocheted me, and then I have this other knitted blanket that I put over my feet. If you have windows in your van, RV, whatever, keep them covered. That is a big one. My van has 360-degree windows, and all a window is a big pane of glass that's just gonna let heat out, because there is nothing really between you and the outside world except for that little tiny piece of vehicle glass. It's not like a window in a house that's kind of like double pane so that it keeps some of the, heat in, cold out. This is just a car window. So not really made to, keep you warm. I have insulated magnetic coverings from a company called Strawfoot, and they're super easy to use, fitted exactly to all the windows. So that's an option. I think they're made in the US, I think Washington. I'm not 100% sure on where in the US though. But another option, and what I had in my last van, was just go any hardware store, buy the thin Reflectix insulation, so the stuff that's kind of like shiny bubble wrap. Last year I cut pieces of that to the shape of my windows, and I put like a black piece of fabric on the outside, so then my windows were totally blacked out and they were insulated as well. And that worked pretty good, and I kept them up all the time. This year I keep it up most of the time. I keep my back for up like 100% of the time, just because I'm way too lazy to take those up and down all the time. There's so many windows in this thing. But I will open the door that you saw me go out during the day, so that Dewey can have some natural light and he can stand on the counter and look out the window if his little heart so desires. Hot water is your friend. So if you're cold and you're like freezing and you're getting into a cold bed, have like a warm cup of tea or like a little bowl of soup to kind of warm you up from the inside. Last night I made some soup when I was really cold, and I got home and that kind of warmed up my innards, which helped the outside of me feel warmer. And as well, hot water bottles. Hot water bottles hold heat so well. Like, they'll keep you warm all night. So I can't recommend that enough. That was like a lifesaver for me last year. I've been super hard on them when I live in tents or when I was living out of the truck in the early spring. That just, you can kind of cuddle it and it keeps your core temperature nice and warm. So that's a really good option. You can get little like soft covers to put on them as well. They're super sweet. Number one thing you can do to stay warm in a van in the winter, best tip is you go, one sec, I'm gonna go get it for you. You go to your local SPCA. I recommend going to one in America because they'll give a dog to anyone that walks in with $150. Get yourself a dog, the most cuddly dog that you can find in the shelter, and bring them into your van, love them, and feed them, and walk them, and train them, and stuff. And if you do all that, that's the best thing to keep you warm in the winter. A dog. A dog is probably the best thing to keep you warm in the winter. This is my furry little furnace, and he cuddles me all night long and keeps me warm. And for a little dog, he runs extremely warm. So, yeah. That's some tips and tricks from me on how to stay warm living in a van in the winter. I'm having to follow my own, seeing as I don't have the easy luxury that I thought I would of just pressing a button and turning the heater on and being nice and toasty. So yeah, feel free to leave a comment on any tips that you might have for staying warm when you're winter camping or winter sleeping in a vehicle, and let's all stay toasty out there on the road.